Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. All right, folks, it is the Mean Gene Show right here on a Sunday, week 4 of the National Football League, ESPN Radio, ESPN 97.5. Let me correct that for those of you who are just listening to the National. Now we are here in our studios in Houston, and I am joined by the one, the only, Jacob Meadows from the Coach's Quarter. Welcome.
What's up, Mean Gene? How are you today, buddy?
I'm excited. Okay, I'm really excited, and let's bring AJ in because you know what, AJ he didn't want to let me in the building, man. As a matter of fact, when he let me in the building and he saw that I was sporting the Steelers gear, he just immediately started laughing as if he knew that we lost.
Well, it's technically worn out because we play each other next week, so I mean, it is what it is. So.
Oh, and then you know, and we don't have a show next week, so and it's because I'm gonna tell you why we don't have a show next week. Now, it's not because the Cowboys are going to be on Sunday night. It's because there's just no way all of us could be in here together. Me and AJ, we just, it would be hell. It would be total chaos in here next week.
It's going to be rough when the Steelers lose to the Cowboys. It's just
no.
Sad.
The game is in Pittsburgh. So I have to wear this today because, you know, we have no show next week. But anyway, folks, hey, welcome to the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5. Jump in anytime you want. Today we're going to be talking about the Texans, of course. Big game at NRG today, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And also, we will talk about the Thursday night game. Week 4 got underway Thursday night. Cowboys and Giants. I know AJ had something to say about that. But look here, okay, this is what's happening, all right? Heading into today, we had 5 teams that were unbeaten, and they were on the road, all 5 of them. Okay, 9 teams were 2-1, all right? 13 teams are 1-2. And there were 3 teams that are 0-3. So over the next couple of hours, Jacob, we're going to see where everything stands. We had, 8 early games today, including the Jaguars and Texans and the 4 late games. And, of course, the Sunday night game, which is going to kick off here on NBC. And that's going to be the Bills on the road to Baltimore. So
Baltimore,
yeah. We got to really be focused here because that's one we want to see.
It's going to be a good game. Yeah, 2 powerhouses.
2 powerhouses. And, of course, we got all of your scores for the day, your updates and analysis on everything that happened in week 4. And my fantasy football sucks right now. This is why, AJ and Jacob, I'm in 3 leagues. Okay. Can you believe in 2 of these leagues, I am winless.
I can believe that.
Yeah, you can believe it. And then I'm 3-1 in the other, which is close to first place. So this is why you got to be a winner at the end of the damn day.
Yeah, that's true. You want to have multiple leads just in case.
Got to diverse. Right. That's why you have a bunch of kids, too. Right. That way, you know, at least one of them makes it big, right?
I mean, it's just crazy. And me and Jacob talked, you know, before we come on the air that as far as fantasy football goes, this is a crazy year because it's all about the no-names. You're sitting there watching these big plays made by people like, who the hell is Bucky Irvin? And, you know, who are these people?
Yeah, it's so many players. It's injuries and, yeah, it really is. It's just these unknown players coming out of nowhere, making an impact immediately. And it's just like, who are these folks?
It's unreal. But anyway, we're going to get into all of this action today. And look, hello to everyone watching us on Twitch and the YouTube.com. Okay, so we are doing what we do here. And how about we just go back to Thursday night here because this was, you know, Cowboys coming off an incredible comeback against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, it was.
And came up short.
Giants.
So, I mean, no, I'm talking about the previous week.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about the previous week, you know, that losing that game at Jerry's World. And then having to go on the road because, you know, they had the luxury of playing at home for the last couple of games and just couldn't seem to find a way to win a game at home.
Just there wasn't any rhythm established. That was the issue. I mean, they're having trouble running the ball on the ground. Dak Prescott seems inconsistent until the end of the game. It's just it's one of those things, Gene, where you know, you don't really know which Cowboys team you're getting week in and week out. They looked good to start the season, then they've kind of tapered off here week 3, week 4, and it almost leaves you cause for concern for the Cowboys. They haven't been able to put together 4 quarters of good football since week 2, and it's just got to be pressing buttons for people.
We got anything from Thursday night there, AJ? So we Yeah, let's kind of get a soundbite from Thursday night Cowboys versus Giants.
Second year out of North Dakota State to the sideline. Here goes Lamb. He gets free on the inside. C.D. Lamb. Touchdown.
Yeah, and it wasn't pretty, but he basically certainly targeted 8 times, 98 yards, 7 receptions for a touchdown. I mean, that was basically the highlight of.
It was the whole game. He is pound for pound their best player too. I mean, he deserved every penny in that contract. C.D. Lamb is pound for pound the best player on the Cowboys squad right now.
AJ, I would say that the run game is still a problem, and this is just like it was a really slow game Thursday night. But that run game for the Cowboys is it's gonna catch up with them, I think, at some point.
It already has. I mean, you're already seeing it. Really. I mean, you signed Dalvin Cook. You might as well just give him a shot because I mean,
use him.
Exactly. I mean, you're not getting any better anyways. I mean, you're in the 2 worst categories. You can't stop the run, and then also you can't run the ball too. I mean, you stopped the run against the Giants, but. So, I mean, we'll see next week when they play against the Steelers. But, yeah, I don't know. This team is just a flawed football team. They're top heavy. They have a lot of good individuals, but coherently as a team, though, I mean, I'm not expecting a lot. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. I don't expect them to win anyway. So, I wouldn't mind if they were bad because I would want a guy like a Travis Hunter or something like that.
Good pick. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me, just before we jump back in, AJ,
Yeah.
do you think that this game was more of a testament to the Giants starting to find themselves, or do you think the Cowboys really are just kind of crumbling at the seams early on?
I think realistically, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be like bad. They're going to be probably average. The Giants, they definitely seem like they've gotten some. Brian Daboll, he's a good coach. You saw how Daniel Jones played in week 3 as well too. Though he didn't play bad. They just couldn't score in the end zone because they would have scored touchdowns. Yeah, we would have been cooked. So yeah.
Well, next week is going to be interesting because you guys talk about Dalvin Cook. I actually think I would not be surprised, and I think they will throw something different out there for the Steelers to look at because I got to think you saw Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, the resurgence.
He shows up on the practice squad, and it wasn't long before they implement him in. I think the same thing is going to happen to Dalvin Cook. Because Rico Dowdle. 11 carries, 46 yards. I don't even have the stats for Ezekiel, but it just didn't look good. The run game was horrible.
It was bad. Zeke went 5 carries for 19 yards. And I mean, it's not 2017 anymore. Like, I love Ezekiel Elliott. I always did. I thought that they should have paid him in the first place, but he's over the hill is a terrible thing to say about a player, but he's not the same player that he was in the beginning.
I will say in his defense that he did kicked the Pittsburgh Steelers' ass the last time he played in Pittsburgh because I was there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that game. I was a freshman in high school.
It was one of those games that he the middle of that field opened up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The only person that could have tackled him was me because he ran directly at me. And it was, I'm like, oh my goodness. But I know that was what, 7 years ago, pretty much.
Give or take.
Things have changed a lot since then. But anyway, looking at the Giants, right? Because now the Cowboys are 2-2, 500. They are currently one of 13 teams that are currently at 2-2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we also talk about you hear a lot about Separation Sunday, and that's slowly starting to define itself because all of these 2-2 teams, there's going to be some teams over 500 next week, and there's going to be a lot of teams under 500. So I think if you're at 2-2, you're in a good spot if you're the Dallas Cowboys. But who would have thought through 4 weeks the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Giants are all looking up at who?
The Washington Commanders, baby. Jaden Daniels is a stud.
Unreal.
It is ridiculous. Yeah, what a division. What a division in football. Good for you, AJ, being a fan of that division. Just crazy.
Oh, I'm not a fan of the division. I hate everyone else in the division. But hey, that's just how it should work. Just
I mean, it's interesting that, I mean, come on, they're doing this with a rookie quarterback. So the Washington Commanders are like the Houston Texans of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just it's early now. It's still early, but this Jaden Daniels, this guy is impressive.
Well, you heard him saying all last season that Washington really was just a quarterback away from contention. So what did they do? They went out, they got a new quarterback, and now, I mean,
and a new coach.
Yeah, and a new coach.
And half of Dallas's offensive line.
Right? And some defensive line.
And now they can compete.
Some defense players, yeah. So incredible. But yeah, good win. Even though Thursday night, good win for the Dallas Cowboys, winning 15-10. Just an ugly game. But 2-2 Giants dropped to 1-3. Look like it's going to be a long year for the Giants. I know we didn't talk much about the Giants, but man, I don't understand why Daniel Jones is putting the ball up 40 times.
Well, they don't have a run game. I mean, Devin Singletary needs a little bit of help. I like Devin Singletary. I wanted the Texans to retain him after last season, but the Giants' offensive line doesn't know how to run block. Like, they genuinely just look confused every time they run the ball, and it takes a ridiculous play where you break 3 tackles just to get anywhere on the ground for them.
Yeah, so it's going to be a long year. And Brian Dable, you know, me and Dustin Pfeiffer, we talk about him a lot on the Sports King show that we do, the podcast. But you know, it's just going to be it's going to be a rough year. It's going to be a rough year for the Giants, and I don't know, I don't know if Dable will be able to last this season.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it's been a rough decade for the Giants if you really think about it. I mean, since Eli's departure, they've had
Yeah.
nothing but struggles at the quarterback position. They've found it really difficult to be
And they had
relevant.
an opportunity to draft a quarterback. Well, all of the quarterbacks that have come out in the league over the last few years, man, they had a chance. And Daniel Jones, I don't know. You know, we make fun of him because he looks like Jim Carrey, right? So
Does
and
look
he
like Jim
plays
Carrey.
like Jim Carrey. Sometimes it's just it's rough. So look, I'll tell you what, this hour, folks, all of the action that took place today, we are going to start with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Texans. Of course, we'll talk about that here in the next segment because I know, Jacob, you got your thoughts on the Texans. What a rebound!
What a rebound.
What a way to bounce back in a game that it was a must win. You know, I know it's early, 4 weeks of football. We're talking must win, but what we saw last week from the Texans, there's no way they could duplicate the bad play from last week.
Yeah, can't get blanked by the Vikings, then come out and lose to the Jaguars. That, I will say, they showed more resiliency this week than they have in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they shouldn't feel bad about getting beat by the Vikings because, as we know today, the Vikings are for real.
They're legit. Yeah, the Vikings should scare everybody at this point.
Yes.
Sam Darnold should be number 1 for the
Unreal.
MVP voting, and they are just lights out no matter who they're playing.
Unreal. I just, oh my goodness. So yeah, I can't wait. We're going to get into all of that too, folks. So hey, we're just getting started here. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5 Houston.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
On week 4 of the National Football League here, Jacob Meadows and Mean Gene here, and our producer AJ, we are recapping and breaking down all the action from week 4 of the National Football League. How about we start with our own team here in H-Town, and that was the Houston Texans. They hosted a what's the word?
Winless.
Winless.
I keep
sorry.
trying to put on the
Yeah, I
front of that
know.
too, yeah.
Yeah, just I could have said an unnecessary team, but no, I won't say that. I won't talk about the folks in Jacksonville like that. But no, this team came in with a sense of urgency, or at least they should have if they didn't. But the Houston Texans win today 24-20. They rebound off from last week's, thumping by the Vikings.
Mhm.
But this was a pretty good game. This was a solid game. And what can we say about Nico Collins that we don't say every week, pretty much?
Right. Nico's a dog, man. He's going to be a top 5 receiver by the end of the year. He and Stroud have a special connection.
And how is he so wide open?
It's a beautiful thing. He's a good route runner. He's got great hands. He is the perfect package. And the crazy thing is a lot of people were ready to give up on him prior to Stroud's arrival because he couldn't get any sort of a connection going with the multitudes of quarterbacks that have rolled through our doors while he was here for the first few years of his rookie contract. Nico's a dog. That is a bright spot in Houston's roster.
A bright spot, yeah. CJ Stroud, not a bad day today. 40 attempts, completed 27, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, 110.9 quarterback rate. Now, the only, I guess, if there was any knock on the game today, would have been the penalties, which were, I thought, were over 100 yards, but they had 93 yards in penalties, and it just looked like they was having so many of them back to back to back.
It was tough. It was tough to watch all the flags getting thrown. But yeah, that's in the last section. That's why I said that they were more resilient in this game than they've been in a long time, because it felt like every single drive was getting stalled with penalties. There were so many ineligible man downfield, holding, illegal touching, all of them. It felt like they kept rolling in, and it just set the offense back over and over and over again. But they did end up pulling it out somehow after all of that.
And Ogunbowale, what we got? We got something for him. This guy just, if he ain't kicking field goals, he's doing something else.
Offset CJ rolls out to the right, throws to the end zone, hits Dory, and the Texans score. They lead.
Well, I mean, it's just exciting because to have a guy like that, he came very close to not even. He came close to not even making it.
He almost didn't make the 53, man. I'm so glad he did. But the
excitement that he brings on the field.
He's a fan favorite for
fans
sure. Fans love their Ogunbowale, as they should. He's so fun to watch, and he was so much more explosive than Cam Akers today, which really helped us there at the back end of the game.
Yeah. Cam Akers did not have a good day today. Stephon Diggs, not a bad day. Targeted 9 times.
Had his first rushing touchdown of his career.
Yes, how about that? Didn't look bad back there in the backfield like a running back there. I was impressed with that. But how about, just a great game coached by the coaching staff. Look, the time of possession they controlled throughout first downs. I mean, they dominated the game in every category, including the penalties.
Yeah. Got to be the best.
Got to be the best at what you do. But look, how bad is this Jacksonville team here? Because, this was a team that the Texans have now owned for the most part. Believe it or not, though, prior to this game today, the road team had won 5 in a row.
Really?
Yeah, coming into this game. So Jacksonville, if you were betting on this, the odds would have been pretty good. But, looking at the stats, Trevor Lawrence, 18 completions, out of 33 attempts, 169, 2 touchdowns, no picks. But what is going on with this Jacksonville team? They get both Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie, and Christian Kirk even stepped up today. Not a good running game for Travis Etienne, but Tank
Bigsby had himself a day, though.
But what the hell is going on with the Jaguars?
It's hard to peg it on any one thing. I really think that Trevor Lawrence is uncomfortable in the pocket. I don't think the offensive line is doing what they maybe not even what they're doing in practice. But Trevor just looks super uncomfortable in the pocket. He's overthrowing players, he's underthrowing players, and he can't consistently get anything going. And it's really setting them back. That their skill positions are loaded. Tank Bigsby is good. Travis Etienne is good. You have Brian Thomas, the rookie. He's a stud. He's their best receiver now, despite Christian Kirk being on a $100 million deal. And if Trevor can't hit him, nobody can do anything. And it looks like it's all falling on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders. And as you told me before the show, that dude just got re-upped on his contract. So you have all this money dumped into Trevor Lawrence.
$275 million invested in him. He's not going anywhere.
No.
$200 million guaranteed.
And it's almost like his mind is not on the football field for all 4 quarters.
Well, I could just, I don't know. We're going to talk with a Jacksonville Jaguars faithful in the bottom of the hour, Kevin the Mailman, who just swear up and down that don't give up on this team. But I don't know. I would have to say the Texans are going to run away with this division. We already knew that. We said that they would run away. I mean, there's a lot of football left. They got to face them again, of course. And
there is, but 2 of the teams in the AFC South are winless. So
yeah, I mean, it just makes it
that much easier. I mean, it's not the word for it, but
no, you're right about that. So keeping it in the AFC and especially in the AFC South, how about the Colts? They get a win today over my Pittsburgh Steelers, 27-24. Anthony Richardson left the game, did not return. So there are concerns about him, but no worry because Joe, I'm not sitting on my ass on the couch, Flacco. Joe Flacco is on a team. No one has to call him in the, at the shopping centers or the grocery stores or whatever. This is just scary. Pittsburgh's worst nightmare, because if anybody knows the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's Joe Flacco. He comes in, takes Richardson's place, and just, does what he does. 16-26, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, just like clockwork.
He brought that same magic that he brought to the Browns last season. It was amazing to watch. I love Joe Flacco. That's one guy. I know he played for Baltimore, and you've got to hate him. But Joe Flacco is like that really cool uncle that you have. And there was a really funny quote at the end of the game because Anthony Richardson said that he was a cool guy, said that Joe Flacco was a cool guy. And Joe Flacco's response to it was he's a couple months older than his mom. So there's no way that AR would think that Joe Flacco is a cool guy. And it's funny because Flacco's been around for so long, but he might be the best relief quarterback in the NFL.
He's that, because today's Sunday, we could say he's a savior, so to speak. He's coming in, and you saw what he did for the Browns. Even though they ran into a vicious Texans team last year in that playoffs, but still, this guy is getting it done. He's just, I always thought that 2 of the best backup quarterbacks out there is Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton. I mean, if you look at it this year, that rings
incredibly true. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it pays to have a savvy veteran on your roster. You can't always rely on youth because there are things that the youth just don't know yet. And the guys have been around for a while do.
So I will say that the Pittsburgh Steelers was one of those 5 teams that had to go on the road today unbeaten, and they were not successful. But remember, this game at one time, it just looked like the Colts were going to run over the Steelers.
They did.
And thanks to Justin Fields, who, man, he got in the end zone a couple of times, got it done. And I don't care what Mike Tomlin say. I've met Mike Tomlin. I've interviewed Mike Tomlin. He's always going to say the right thing. But I think today, even in a loss, I don't see how you bring Russell Wilson out. And it's going to be interesting. Now, I don't know. The Cowboys are heading to town, and they're going to be at home. But I would think that the crowd is pulling for Justin Fields today after seeing what he did today.
How could you not? How could any fan outside of, within the division, right? AFC North, like they can hate all they want, but how could you not love what Justin Fields is doing with the Steelers after his years with the Bears and them letting him go for Caleb Williams? Justin Fields looks fantastic. This game, like you said, should have cemented it.
And they came close, they really came close, made a big comeback there, but
and they don't have, it's not like they have film of Flacco with the Colts. Like that's one of those things where Flacco steps in. I know everybody has film on Flacco, but that's not who you were prepared for.
Yeah.
And he slings it.
Yeah.
So the Steelers came close. It was a great game. I think the Steelers will be one of those teams that rebounds really well off of their road loss here.
So they do get in the end zone, even though Fields scores twice, and then Pat Fairmount, he gets in. But hey, good day for George Pickens, their top number one,
the top
receiver number one. Yeah. targeted 11 times, 7 receptions, 113 yards, no touchdowns, but he did have that big 38 yard, that long
the
run
reception.
there.
Yeah.
And then same thing, Najee Harris ran like a beast today. And I mean, looked pretty good.
He ran hard.
He did.
One of my favorite running backs from my childhood, because he's been around a while for now. Cordero Patterson looked fantastic for the Steelers.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
He got hurt. He left the game.
He
but
did.
Cordero Patterson looks like he is reviving his career with the Steelers.
This guy's
He's been a
around.
great relief back.
He's been with the Falcons, with the
Falcons,
Vikings. You know, he was a wide receiver at one time.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's been used all over the field.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who's just kind of stuck
He
around.
doesn't
going
look
from
like a
roster to
running
roster.
back to me.
No, he's a big
He's
dude.
a big guy.
He looks like a tight end now.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah.
This was his best play sample that he's had all season. I love that he's with the Steelers. It's the one thing keeping me from hating on your Steelers too much.
Hey,
They gave
look,
Cordero Patterson a shot.
They are 3-1, you know, depending on tonight here. And it appears that the Bills and the Ravens have kicked off. So Josh Allen and the offense is on the field. You know, this is a game. Look, the Steelers are 3-1. Okay, so nothing, you know, I mean, hey, if you expected them to go undefeated, wishful thinking there. You know, the Colts showed up to play today.
They did. And the Colts have been pretty competitive
Michael
all
Pittman
season.
showed up to
Michael
play today.
Pittman finally went
Sitting
off.
on my bench
There's
in
so many fantasy
football.
owners mad right now
Oh,
because
my
they've
goodness.
given up on Michael Pittman. He
Well,
showed
yeah,
up
you're
and
looking at
showed
one. He
out.
sat on the bench, and I said, "Who's this with this 20-something points?" There, oh my Lord, not Michael Pittman Jr., who has been a ghost for the last 3 weeks. Until I should have known something just was fishy about the whole thing.
That's how that works.
Yeah, well, especially, you know, who knew Flacco would come in, but I think the damage was done when Richardson was in.
Agreed.
The connection between him and Pittman were obvious.
I tell you what, if Anthony Richardson can find a way to stay healthy, if he can find a way from putting himself in harm's way, the Colts are in good hands. He is a good football player.
He is.
Just an
He is.
absolute stud on the
You
field.
just hate seeing this.
Over and over. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would love for him to put together more games without an injury. I dislike him because he's for the Colts, and I'm a huge Texans fan, the AFC
Right.
South. But Anthony Richardson is the future of the Colts. If he can stay healthy, he's probably going to give them the best shot since Andrew Luck. And you want him to stay healthy.
Well, I think they're gonna, you know, they see it in him, but unfortunate injury for him. And
They did say that the injury might not keep him out long. It's a hip injury. It was not a head injury. And they
Yeah,
did say that
just-
he could miss 0 games. So
we'll see. They are 2-2, so not bad. You know, potential wild card, you know,
Mhm.
depending on what they do with the rest of the AFC South. So, look, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Kevin the Mailman about what the hell's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, bottom of the first hour, Jacob Meadows from the coach's quarters and Mean Gene here on the Mean Gene Show, ESPN 97.5. Okay, so no score in the Buffalo Ravens game here, so we'll update you as soon as something exciting happens. So we were talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and as promised, I told you we would bring in is he a disgruntled fan, happy fan? I don't know what he's gonna be after watching the Texans take care of the Jaguars. But Kevin the mailman, what's going on?
I want to say, cut the defensive coordinator. Cut him.
Are you firing people already?
0-4. 0-4.
Your
You
defense,
can't stop nobody.
your defense looked pretty good against Houston today, though.
Let me tell you, we're almost getting killed daily, nightly. Because guess what? 20 first downs to Houston's 27. Can't stop them. Almost 100 yards, well, over 100 yards more. Can't stop them. Third down, they got almost twice as much as we did. Cut them.
What are y'all gonna do, man? Look here. We just sat up here and talked about it, Kevin, just a few minutes ago. The numbers didn't look bad. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is doing not playing bad football here. Kristen Kirk shows up today. The rookie Brian Thomas is looking good, but what the heck is going on? Is
Mean
Doug
Gene,
Peterson?
I don't mean to cut you off, but you said the numbers didn't look bad.
No.
0-4. What numbers are you looking at?
I know your record is 0-4, but look, it's 4 games. There's 17. You got 13 more to go, right? And
Ain't that a bad number?
Derrick
13?
Henry. Oh, good Lord. Okay, look.
Mean Gene, 13 is a bad number.
Well, you got 13 is a bad number, but you have 13 more games to go. You could have a hell of a ride here. You can go on a 9-game streak here and be 9-4, and then we'd be talking something completely different.
Mean Gene is be running straight naked.
Hey, the best player in the draft always goes number 1 overall. Y'all are tanking for Trevor again. You're just fighting for the first round pick. That's great.
You can't get a quarterback. You just gave him $275 million. So what are y'all missing?
He gonna play in Denzel next last movie. You remember they had the one boy with the long hair and
Sunshine.
Denzel. Yeah, Sunshine. That's Sunshine. He's Sunshine.
Hey, look, man. I don't know. I mean, I like Doug Peterson. Everything worked.
Cut him too.
I don't know what is going on. I cannot say that Calvin Ridley made the difference. That would be so the defense just not getting it done?
That's it. How did we start off? Cut the defensive coordinator. He can't coach. They don't want to play for him.
Well, now look, that's something that might happen. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen an end season. As a matter of fact, the Pittsburgh Steelers did it last year. Mike Tomlin had to replace an offensive coordinator in the middle of the season. You don't really see that often, but I tell you what, I don't know. 0-4 is bad, Kevin, and I think the Texans.
I'm just going back to what you just hurt my feelings. You said numbers. You gave out numbers. Guess what? Trevor got numbers. He got paid. That's his numbers. If he was in the NBA and he was hurt and coming into a season where he could get paid the next season, he played great. Guess what? He got his money. He's sitting on the sideline and flicking his hair back like he Goldie. No.
You talking about Fabio? I know, but look, the young folks are like, who the hell is that? I mean, you
know what?
We're going
Google
way
it.
back.
They know how to do that. They know how to Google.
Well, look here, Kevin. I hope things get better down there. But look, on a serious note, because I know you're in the Jacksonville area there, man,
yes,
we're our thoughts and prayers are just still out for the people in Florida. I guess Florida, Georgia,
Absolutely.
South Carolina, North Carolina. I mean, how are things looking down there in Florida?
Well, you have to have hope and you have to have faith. We have both those, but we just don't have them with Jacksonville's football team. We got them with the people out here. We got them with 90% of all the players. You know, they have a family and stuff. You know, that might have. I'm gonna give them a pass today, just on that.
Okay.
They had their thoughts on their family and their
Okay.
home, so they couldn't
Yeah.
focus. So we're gonna blame that. But
All
then
right.
on the other hand, Tampa Bay was down there killing, and they was in the midst of the same storms. I can't give them a pass. I'm sorry, I tried to.
They
I
played
know.
an easier
I couldn't
team.
deliver.
I know.
I'll
It-
give you
couldn't
that.
deliver.
It was not a good day for the state of Florida.
Not at all.
Yeah. And Miami, we won't
I-
know
you know,
until what, tomorrow night, right?
That is correct.
So Miami might save the state, so to speak.
They might.
You know what? I tried to do good. You know, maybe we should have traded him for Baker.
Hey,
Mm.
that
You know.
wouldn't have been a bad idea. That
Yeah.
Baker's
Well, actually,
Well,
you're right, because Tampa Bay did
Y'all
win.
did good because you know what?
Tampa
Y'all
did.
got rid of Deshaun and brought in Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then North Carolina, they thought the young short guy from California, Mr. Look Good, was going to do good. They didn't want CJ. You know, he's from California too. They forgot it, but he got
Are
the
you
praise.
calling CJ
I
Stroud
don't know.
Mr. Look Good? Because
Mr.
you know,
Look Good.
I mean, you're on Houston radio, right? So
I
mean,
know, I understand.
You know, I'm sure
I'm-
CJ
I'm-
don't mind the compliment.
I'm in a state of mourning right now.
Okay, I get it. I understand, Kevin. I tell you what.
I'm
But
in-
look,
I'm in a
well,
state of
okay.
mourning.
So, all right. So Jaguars lose, Buccaneers win, and we'll see what Miami does, because I know the state needs all of the positiveness that can happen out there. But hey, we're glad you're okay, Kevin, man. And we look, soon as they win, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm talking about. Make sure you call us. It might be
Couple
10 weeks from here,
next
but
season, but
we're gonna leave the door open, okay? I mean, AJ
Well,
will
you
get
know
you
what?
through.
Are you leaving it open or cracked?
We're gonna leave it cracked, okay? Yeah. So as soon as y'all win, we'll get you in, okay? Call us back in week 12.
Oh, one leave it open, not 13. 12.
13, not 13. Hey, Kevin, thanks a lot, man. And you guys take it easy
I
down there in
appreciate,
Florida.
you know, you taking my call. You know, we're more than a state of mourning for different reasons. The loss, the weather, but we still got hope.
All right.
that's all that
Still got
matters.
hope.
That's all that matters.
So I will be calling. Not on week 13, though.
All right, brother. Okay.
Okay, y'all take care.
You too,
All right.
man.
Hey, so look, I know it's tough down there, but no, seriously though, we didn't, mention this at the beginning of the show, but man, just a devastating hurricane comes through that these hurricanes tend to intensify right before they hit land. You remember they used to be strong in the
Gulf,
ocean, and then they would sort of
Dissipate.
weaken
Yeah.
before land. Now they get stronger and then they smack. But so it's still hurricane season. I just, it's just, we have to send our prayers out to those people in the southeast region of the United States.
At least hurricane season's drawing to a close sooner rather than later. So we'll be over this hill quickly. so to speak.
Okay. So look here. All right. We do have a score update for you in the Buffalo Bills at Baltimore Ravens game. It is 7-0 Baltimore over the Buffalo Bills. Derrick Henry. They give him the ball one time, and what does he do? 87 yards for a touchdown.
My fantasy team is crying right
And
now.
look, I don't know who has Derrick Henry, and Baltimore maybe got the message now. This is what you need to do. He is like a Aaron Judge, like
Mhm.
he's that guy that will hit
The
that home run
hitter. Yeah. And he looks, it looks like Derrick Henry. The first couple of weeks, he was adjusting to the offense, I guess. And he kind of looked like he might also be a little over the hill. The last 2 weeks, though,
Oh my
Derrick
goodness.
Henry looks like 24-year-old Derrick Henry out there running people over and just moving.
The fountain of youth. And
Yeah.
this is just crazy. And there are no other stats for the Ravens except that stat.
Yep, just that one.
That is the only one. And anyway, so we'll see what Cook and Josh Allen and those guys get going here. But amazing stuff here. So I think we have time to get another game in here today before we break here. So how about you want to talk about the Vikings?
Let's talk about
Minnesota
the Vikings.
the 3-0 Vikings at the Packers 2-1. And this was a great NFC North showdown here. And I tell you what, man, the Vikings are for real.
Legit. Skull. Shout out to my stepdad, Brian, for raising me as a Vikings fan because they look amazing today. We grew up in a Vikings household, so I kind of have to cheer for them on the side. This secondary to the Texans.
The
But
purple people
the
eaters
purple
is
people
what they
eaters, baby.
used to call them.
But they look good. They've looked good every game, and they thumped the Packers until the end of this game, and the Packers made a comeback. But man, the Vikings are for real.
Well, look, this was a really good game. So they win, what was it, 31-29. They got a little
Mhm.
close there at the end. At one time, it was 28-0.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
give it up to Jordan Love and those guys. Jaden Reed had a good game today. He had 8 targets, 7 receptions for 139 yards, and Wicks also 2 touchdowns there. But, man, look, in the losing effort there, Jordan Love 54 times throwing the ball, completed 32 for damn near 400 yards.
Mhm.
But, man, it was those
It was
3
the
picks
Yep.
that got him done. 4 touchdown passes, but 3 picks. So,
He looked good. I mean, he's been gone. He's been injured. So, there's a little bit of rust there. Throwing for 400 yards is nuts. Like Jordan Love really did look mostly good, but it was those picks. He just couldn't keep the ball out of Minnesota's hands.
and how about Aaron Jones, man? He sure liked to rub it in today going against his former team there. He had 22 attempts there for 93 yards, but Sam Darnold, 20 of 28, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a pick. But, man, these guys are looking good. Him and Justin Jefferson are making it work. Not only Jefferson, but how about Addison getting
Jordan
involved?
Addison finally coming back from injury. Yeah, coming back
he's
from
He's
injury.
spreading the ball around.
And he looked amazing. Addison didn't lose a step at all. Had the rushing touchdown, had a receiving tutter. He looked great today.
It's just good to see Donald getting this done here because previous teams that he's played with, he's always keyed in on one person and either tried to force it or overshot the person. But now he's able to get Jefferson, Addison, Jones when he wants to catch the ball every once in a while. He's always been a good catching back.
Mhm.
And how about Naylor, a guy that he's
The
really
rookie. Yeah.
breaking him in. So Sam Donald, this is probably the best team he's ever had.
Yeah.
When you look at the talent level.
Played for San Francisco, but it wasn't his team. So yes,
Right.
like Minnesota, finally Sam Darnold has landed on a team that believes in him. Right.
Yeah.
And I know JJ McCarthy's the starter and he got hurt. That's the only reason Sam Darnold got in. But man, did Sam Darnold take his opportunity and run with it.
Hey, they are 4-0. The Packers now are at 2-2, so things are going to tighten up a little bit in the NFC North with plenty of football left. We talk about the Bears and what they did, and the other teams in the NFC North. We got the Lions going to be playing tomorrow night. So hey, one more segment here. We wrap up the hour here. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on 97.5 ESPN.
You're listening to the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
for the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
Snap spot. Kick from Koo is away. And it is good.
Yeah, it was good, all right,
Money
for
shot Younghoe
66
Koo.
yards. That's Younghoe Koo who gets the field goal in, and the Atlanta Falcons beat the New Orleans Saints 26-24. So now this is 2 losses in a row for the Saints, but this one couldn't have came at a worse time because it was against an NFC South opponent. So both of these teams set at 2-2. That division just got tighter, and don't rule out the Panthers yet. And of course, now with the dominant play of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is an interesting division all of a sudden.
This division's wide open. You know, in previous episode when we were given our division, we thought were going to take the lead in all of the divisions. At least we did take Tampa, right? But you know, this was a crazy game because you had the defensive touchdowns on Atlanta's part. You had offensive juggernaut in the Saints. The Saints looked good all game.
Well, they dominated.
Yeah, the Saints looked good.
Yeah, they did.
And it just
in every category.
It was a lot of wacky things going on in this game. Like you said, 66-yard field goal. Gene, remember when a 50-yard field goal was a long field goal?
Oh, not anymore.
And now you have 60-yarders every week.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. The evolution of the NFL kicker is nuts.
We'll give it up to, that's like the one scout that you probably think is the most, useless person on your staff. But give it up to these scouts here that are going out and finding these kickers, not your traditional kickers, but Koo has been good for a long time. He's been consistent money in the bank for the Falcons.
He's really good. Yeah,
he's outlasted coaches.
No kidding. Yeah.
At least 3 coaches I know for a fact.
But 66 yards, we're getting real close to a 70-yard field goal, which means you only have to go 30 yards and then points.
We're getting there, and it's not your typical Butker and Justin Tucker anymore.
It's Brandon Aubrey.
The Cowboys got the kicker, man. This guy watched football and said, I think I can do that. And actually went out there and did an amazing story.
And he's the best.
Yeah.
And now he's super successful. And it really was. He was just kind of, I think I can do that.
Look,
and then ran with it.
Kickers are important. I remember, and when I lived in Southern California, and I was, I did some work for the San Diego Chargers. I painted their football field, their practice field.
It's cool.
So one time, John Carney comes up to me and he says, "Hey, man, I just need you to, do some lines right here, and I'm gonna set up here on the field." So, and Carney would just be out there kicking. The rest of the team out drinking, having fun, and there he was. Every day he would just show up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be out on the field today kicking, so make sure nobody's out there." So I've seen kickers do what they do, and John Carney was, one of the best there with the Chargers in the end of his career. I think with the Saints.
I believe so. Yeah. I never knew that story. That's pretty cool, Gene.
So no, but this was good here, and when you look at and I like to look at the numbers here because especially in games like this game actually did come down to that kick. Because when you look at the Saints, 35 minutes time of possession, they owned that. Look at the first downs, 25 to the Falcons 14. So this was a dominant game if you look at it from that perspective. But it was the turnovers that they also led, and then that tight field goal. It got there. This was a big win for the Falcons fans, especially how they lost that game to the Chiefs, right? They're still talking about that, right?
This is the game that you want to see. For divisional rivals, this is as good as it gets. I know there was a little bit of sloppy play and there's a lot of turnovers, but this is what you want interdivision. It sucks for Saints fans, right? Because now they're 2-2. They did lose to the Atlanta Falcons, but this was a dogfight from start to finish. And this was a good game, especially if you like defensive football. The first 17 points that Atlanta put up was 2 defensive touchdowns and a field goal. So this was a very dynamic game from multiple angles for both teams in totally different ways.
Well, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the Falcons. They needed that win. They got it done at home. How about this amazing game at Soldier Field in Chicago. Everyone is trying to see exactly if Caleb Williams is going to be the rookie of the year. I don't know if we can say that right now through 4 weeks of football, but not a bad game today. The Chicago Bears defeat the Los Angeles Rams by a score of 24-18. Now the Bears are 2-2, and which is a tight division except for the Vikings.
Yeah.
And depending on what the Lions do tomorrow night, who knows who could be in second place. Two teams could come out of this division in the playoffs. But Caleb Williams, the rookie there, 23 attempts, 17 yards. I like that they got the attempts down for him as compared to previous games
50
there.
or whatever.
Yeah. This was
a
a very manageable game there. 157 yards, a touchdown there. But wow, DeAndre Swift, he finally showed up.
Man, he had a good
shows
game.
up.
And that defense is legit. Chicago's got a top 8 defense in the NFL right now. It is nuts.
They really do. And then, so we give those praises to the Bears because they deserve it. That, they are getting it done. And Williams is targeting, so he targeted Swift. Swift, we saw what he used to do.
He was the reception leader. Yeah.
He was. He's a running back. Am I right? So
sure is.
Cole Kmet didn't have that great of a game. He did have the 22 long run there. And the Doomsday not so much involved, but I'm really wanting to see the Keenan Allen connection there and not seeing much of that. He was only targeted 3 times a day, for 19 yards. But man, that guy, I mean, he still plays like he's hurt, so to speak. I mean, are you seeing that?
Well, wasn't this the first week back from injury? This is him just now getting back. I don't think Keenan's been on the field.
So I'm being hard on the guy.
He probably is still a little hurt.
Okay, because I just because man, I tell you, when this offense gets to clicking, hey, we might be in for just like we just talked about the NFC South. The NFC North might turn out to be interesting there.
It could be a dogfight at the end of the year.
Because we still got to see Chicago and Minnesota play. You got to see New Orleans. I mean, what's the team there? The Lions. Yeah, Detroit and so I mean, not so fast as Lee Corso says about the Vikings, but they do look good. The Bears look good today.
They could go any direction. The Vikings do look incredible, and it will be hard to knock them off that throne. But with the Bears look like they're figuring it out. If they can get a consistency out of their running game, the Bears, watch out.
Well, if I can just steal a line from Dennis Green, the Bears are who we thought they were. I mean, you got to remember that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, AJ, you got to find that soundbite one of these days. But Dennis Green, was he coaching the Arizona Cardinals at the time? It was a Monday night game, and I just think it was the Cardinals should have won the game. And after the game, Dennis Green, the late Dennis Green, by the way, who we lost, he just went off in the press conference. And he hit the mic stand and everything, and he goes, "The Bears are who we thought they were. We let them off the damn hook." So I mean, so the Bears are looking good, led by a rookie quarterback, and I see the adjustments that they're making. Keep those attempts down. You don't want rookie quarterbacks throwing the ball 40 and 50 times like we saw a couple of weeks ago.
Not at all. And it looks like they're finally scheming some quick throws for him. There in the beginning, they had these long wind-up plays where you needed 5 seconds to let the play develop, and he was going to have to go through all of his progressions. And it looks like they're really working in these shorter, quicker throws, and Caleb is excelling far beyond what he was previously.
Meanwhile, in Los Angeles with the Rams, I tell you what, the Rams are starting to see or feel the effect of no
Cooper Kupp
and no Puka Nacua. We're seeing it, even though Kyren Williams, hey, not too bad, 19 attempts, 94 yards, a touchdown. But I don't know. I mean, the Rams just don't look consistent, and they have an excuse, but still, this was a road game. But man, they needed this after beating the 49ers.
After beating the 49ers, you're playing a rookie quarterback. For the Rams, I mean, really, there is no excuse to lose this game. I mean, I know that Chicago's got all this star power on their offense, and their defense is playing lights out. But the Rams, honestly, coming off of a victory against the San Francisco 49ers, as depleted as they may be, they have no excuse to have dropped this game. And honestly, it kind of begs the question: what if Matt Stafford walks away at the end of the year? I mean, if the Rams don't play well,
he's been around. I think they might be looking for some of the newest quarterbacks, Jalen Milroe.
Very possible. Hey, even a
I
Carson
just-
Beck. I mean,
You know, hey, I mean, you couldn't go wrong there. What a hell of a Saturday night college football. The
Oh,
Georgia
instant
Alabama
classic.
game,
Man,
and not to mention the Miami
Virginia Tech game.
Rarely do you see good close games like that, and I'm still wondering why the hell Georgia decided they needed to just take that shot at the end zone with 3 timeouts left. But man, great game. That Miro kid has really gotten better.
Jalen
He's
Miller
getting better by the day.
by the day. I think at this point he has to have cemented a top.
I
not-
can
maybe
see
not
him
the
in New
first
York
pick, but-
City sitting in one of those Heisman chairs.
Oh yeah.
Come December. I know
Travis
that.
Hunter too, though.
Hey,
Yeah.
Travis
Travis
Hunter
Hunter
should
will
go
be
number
there
one
with him,
overall.
too.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, great college
Stud.
football here. We are going to wrap up this hour. When we come back, we still have Eagles, Bucks. We got Chargers and Chiefs. We got Raiders and Browns. We got all of these updates and highlights, including the Sunday night game that's happening right now in Baltimore. You're listening to the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5. All right, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Mean Gene Show here on ESPN 97.5 with Jacob Meadows and AJ behind the wheels of steels. We are going to continue with our week 4 scores, highlights, and analysis. And of course, this is always our favorite time of the week. And the What Had Happened Was segment. And it's always interesting. I sit around, I watch these games, and I try to, it's not only the blowout games, it's upset games.
Yep.
And we've had quite a few of those.
Mhm.
But just when I try to find like the upset game, which I think probably would have been the Eagles and the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
in
that
my
would be the
opinion,
biggest upset.
That in my opinion. But then you get an ass spanking game, and it seems like it has happened almost every week.
There's at least one that
At least. And this week, no different. we ready for the what had happened was, AJ. There's no way we can talk about this without.
So what had happened was.
Yeah.
That's
what
my
had
favorite.
happened was. What had happened was.
Yeah, what had happened was. Well, what had happened was the Washington Commanders went to State Farm Stadium and they thumped the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we have been praising Calamari and what's been going on there and this team, how they, won the one game. They're 1-3 now, but they didn't see Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders coming to town. The Commanders, that name, boy, they lived up to that name today with a commanding victory, 42-14. The Commanders on the road beat the Cardinals, Jacob.
They obliterated the Cardinals, Mean Gene. This was from start to finish. Washington looked so good against Arizona. If you hadn't kept up with the NFL for the last couple of years, and this was the first game you watched, you would never think that Jaden Daniels was a rookie. At no point in this game would you have thought Jaden Daniels was a rookie.
He doesn't look like it at all. And you know what? They're keeping his numbers down. They're not. He's attempted 30 today.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
26, not bad. 233 yards. He even had a pick.
Mm-hmm.
But these 42 points there, they came from McNichols, of course, and Robinson, the one Robinson, no one
the
really
Brian
drafted.
Robinson, yeah,
and they draft.
And I tell you what, that Jeremy McNichols touchdown there, it was on the left sideline, and we all thought that he was going to go out of bounds, and somehow he backsteps into the end zone. Yeah,
one of those names that I didn't.
Yeah, that was one that I had to look up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he looked amazing. And then, Brian Robinson, he's an incredible running back.
And they spread the ball. McLaurin, on the offensive side, Zacharias, he 85 yards there. Terry McLaurin. This team is really playing some great football here. And, they just are number one right now in the NFC East.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
They're only
no
ahead
Cowboys,
of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas
Giants,
Cowboys.
No Eagles.
No big
it is
deal.
The Washington Commanders
It's
that
week
are
4.
number one.
You said it for me. There you go.
What'd you say?
He said it for me. He said it's week 4.
Week 4.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you got to take it. Look, we're getting close to Separation Sunday here, which will be, it'll start next week.
Mm-hmm.
And by week 6 here, there will be some separation. These, teams that are at 500, you're going to see folks going to drop below 500, and you will start to see the definition of the NFL, teams that you probably are going to see in January.
Yep, absolutely. And I do kind of hope that the Commanders are on the right side of 500. This is a very, very fun team to watch this season. They're very well-rounded. They can finally throw pretty consistently. They have a great run game in Brian Robinson because they can throw with consistency. Their defense is firing on all cylinders. And I hated that Noah Brown got cut by the Texans, and I love that Jaden Daniels is throwing to Noah Brown.
That's what happens in the NFL. You may not fit here, and we talk about it all the time. And
he looks great.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Arizona. What had happened was you got beat today.
Beat down
42-14. So sorry about that. Hey, just rebound. All you got to do is win another game.
Just win a couple more.
Yeah, but you can't take beat downs like that. It's just hard to pass this one up here. All right, other action that took place today. This would have been the what had happened was, and the Philadelphia Eagles there, just cannot get that leverage going. We thought they were, to open up the season over in Brazil. They beat the Packers there. And now, they are 2-2. They go down to Raymond James Stadium today, and Baker Mayfield says, "Hey, why do you guys keep counting me, off and stuff here?" The Eagles lose 33-16 in a game that was nowhere close
Never
at all.
Close, no.
And Baker Mayfield just, he put it up 47 times. That's normal for him.
That's a pretty typical
30
day.
Completions there, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans shows up again. Chris Godwin shows up. Otten, the tight end, shows up. And that one guy that just keeps hitting the stats every damn week, Bucky freaking Irving shows up.
Bucky's closing that gap in the running back room. He split carries with Rachaad White. They had the same amount of carries this game for the first time. They had the exact same amount of yards, but Bucky Irving scored the touchdown. Tampa Bay's got something cooking right now in the
They
Bay,
really
man.
do. And they are not going to just let the NFC South slide
Mm-mm.
like that. And look, man, we got some great matchups coming up here still in the NFC South. Want to see what Tampa does with New Orleans. Want to see what they do against the Falcons. But, man, they won that division last year. And I think we sort of I picked the Falcons to win.
I also
this
picked. You're right. I
division.
lied earlier on the show. Yeah, we both picked the
Well,
Falcons
because
to
we
win.
just thought that we're not seeing what we,
Kirk has not played up to
And
what we
we-
thought, and
totally
Baker is.
overlooked the Falcon. I mean the
Bucs.
Buccaneers here, and man, they're getting it done here. So just a big shout out there to our Bucks fans down there in Florida.
Sirianni
getting a win there and just putting a smile on the people's faces down there in Florida.
after the hurricane. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sirianni's got to be reeling. They lose AJ Brown, they lose Devonta Smith, and now they are absolutely in a hole. I mean, Dallas Goedert's good. He had that really, really good game last week, but you can't count on Dallas Goedert to lead your team every week. And Saquon can only do so much when they're teeing against the run game all game. So Jalen Hurts is really struggling without his top two wideouts, and it is showing in the worst of ways for the Philadelphia
It
Eagles.
is. This was a stunning loss for the Philadelphia Eagles, and even though I think the NFC East is going to beat up on each other a little bit.
Mhm.
So, the Washington is up there for now, and you got to give them credit, but you really got to give credit to Tampa Bay, who, made the playoffs last year. So they have a sense of urgency. And Baker Mayfield is, he's getting it done.
He is. He's getting it done. You know what? If they keep playing like this, they may not be the underdog like they were last year.
They may not, and they might be looking at hosting
Mhm.
instead of going on the road
Wouldn't
where
that be
they
a
went to
turnaround?
Detroit last year. So, all right. Last night, I text my friend Icky Woods,
Mhm.
and because I haven't heard from Icky Woods, the former running back from UNLV, and of course the Icky Shuffle that everyone knows from his days with the Cincinnati Bengals in that Super Bowl against the 49ers. But look, I said, Icky, I'm worried about the Bengals. And he said, no, he said, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I said, you guys got to get a win there. He said, don't worry about it. We good. So anyway, but it was a close
Close
one today.
game.
Close one today. The Cincinnati Bengals get their first win of the year. That doesn't sound right at all. Over the Carolina Panthers, 34-24. And who would have thunk it that the Panthers would be 1-3 along with the Bengals.
Right.
But this was Andy Dalton, man. He gets the second start of this 2024. We didn't see the Andy Dalton that we saw in the previous week. But I tell you what, it was nice to see Moss, Burrow, all of these guys. Who the hell is Chase Brown?
Yeah, he came from the Cardinals. He was a backup on the Cardinals.
For Connor.
Mhm.
Well, here's another guy that steals the day. And Chase Brown, 15 attempts there, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns, just killed. I don't know if anybody had him. I didn't.
No, I've got
Yeah.
Zach Moss, and
I
I was
mean,
pissed.
Moss is the guy. Yeah, and Moss didn't get in the end zone. But
Nope.
because Chase Brown
He was having a better. Chase Brown had a much better day.
But it was nice to see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase hooked up because I have Jamar Chase, and I've just been waiting for something big to happen.
You and me both. I have Joe Burrow on my team. I needed it as bad as you did. I started Joe Burrow over Jaden Daniels today, and he definitely delivered. So it has been nice.
So, I mean, this was a tough loss there. Me and Dustin Pfeiffer, we talked when we did our Sports Kings countdown show this week, and he knew that this would be a tough one for the Panthers. But look, you still got to be excited to see that connection between Deontay Johnson and Andy Dalton.
It's
is really
special. They're
starting to
good.
show. But Leggetti,
Xavier Legette finally
this
got his
is the
first
one.
NFL touchdown, baby.
this is one I saw coming. How about even Jonathan Mingo gets on
Mhm.
the stat sheet there? So I mean, look, it's going to be a tough year, but look, you got one win that you probably didn't see coming. You don't have Bryce Young to worry about,
Mhm.
so I got to think that Andy Dalton's going to find a way to pump out some more wins.
And you know who probably appreciates Andy Dalton the most on this Carolina Panthers team, Gene? Chuba Hubbard. Chuba has been going off since Andy Dalton stepped in. He has over 100 yards at both games that Andy Dalton has started. And the Panthers look like the competent team that nobody thought was going to be seen at all this year. So this has been a terrific turnaround, albeit a loss, but it has been a terrific turnaround for the Carolina Panthers under Andy Dalton.
Okay, look, we have, and my computer's giving me fits over here. We actually lost our video coverage here in the studio of what's going on in Baltimore, but I do know that the Baltimore Ravens now are winning 14-3.
They sure are. Lamar Jackson threw a touchdown to Derrick Henry on top of the rushing touchdown Derrick Henry already had, just to bury my fantasy team a little bit further into the sand today.
So this is the Derrick Henry show. It's what that game is in the second quarter, early in the second quarter there, and it looks like the Ravens have the ball. Look like Lamar Jackson just hit Aguilar for a 12-yard pass there. So they are dominating the time of possession. And, man, like you said, the Derrick Henry show, he's got one receiving and he's got one rushing there. Man, this is going to be a long night for the Buffalo Bills defense if they don't come up with a stop at some point.
No kidding. Buffalo looks absolutely outmatched today. And that's crazy considering how good they have looked all season so far. But I mean, it's hard to stop Derrick Henry when he has 4 carries for 95 yards. Lamar Jackson's only thrown 1 incompletion.
He's going to have 100 yards before.
He sure will. Yeah, I give it a couple more plays and he'll have it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will update that score and get more into some of the other games. We still have, oh man, we got a lot of games to talk about still here.
We do.
We're going to have to get on the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets here. And what happened there in New York today. So, hey, it's the Mean Gene Show right here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we are moving it right along here. Segment number 2 of the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows from the Coaches Quarters. What you guys been talking about on the Coaches Quarters?
Oh, it gets a little repetitive, but I talk a lot about the bad O-line play. That's pretty much my favorite thing to dive into is which O-lines are doing poorly around the NFL and why that's causing that offense to fall apart. I find so much satisfaction in doing that. So it's a lot of that. But here coming up, we're going to have the Breakaway Sunday that we're going to have here soon. That'll kind of notate which
the
teams
separation.
separation Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's mostly highlights. So I like to highlight the individual players and the teams that like good comebacks, underdog stories, like that sort of thing. Just kind of talking up the people that maybe aren't getting the media attention that they probably should, but just because they don't have that star power that people like to hear about.
You know what? I was wondering, just thinking back to the Eagles right now. You think they're missing Kelsey? On that offensive line?
I do. It doesn't help that Lane Johnson was out this week. I mean, for somebody who's a top 5 tackle in the NFL, Lane Johnson's missed a lot of time, and every time he misses time, the Eagles have a hard time winning. So when you're missing the staple, you're missing Jason Kelsey and you're missing Lane Johnson, which is detrimental to the team.
Yeah.
And then with their receivers out,
I mean, it's right now they're so one-dimensional with Saquon. It seems
he's
like
literally the whole offense. And
because
he had a great day. Saquon still had a great
consistent.
day. Yeah,
he's consistent. Yeah. So no Devontae Smith and AJ Brown.
Nope.
Which seems to really be a big issue, especially when you went up against a team like the Buccaneers today.
Well, they don't have depth. Like it's like they didn't think that they would ever lose a receiver. So
especially both of them, you always have one or the other.
One of them's always there. So they're reeling right now without both of those guys.
Well, I'll tell you another team that's reeling. And look, if you told me that the Denver Broncos would be 2-2 right now, I would say now you're out of your mind. But you know what's funny about this matchup here is that there was no hype about the Sean Payton and Aaron Rodgers thing, because you know they played last year.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Remember, Rodgers got hurt, so we didn't get the hoopla that it was built up to be. So quietly, Sean Payton and the Broncos go to you. We're coming to you, and we're gonna whip you. And I tell you what, the Broncos win 10-9. Not the most beautiful game that you're gonna see on a Sunday, but the storylines here is that, man, the Jets, I saw something that might be brewing here on that Jets team. And that was when, when the field goal was missed there. And if you saw Robert Saleh's face, it told it all. Mm-hmm. And another thing I saw, because we all know there is no love between Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers.
No.
And keep an eye on this, Jacob, because this thing could go south here really quick. Aaron Rodgers looked like crap, and the Broncos just made him look like an old man.
He looked like an old man. Yeah, I mean, this was the most we've seen Aaron Rodgers running out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. He is not the same Aaron Rodgers that played in Green Bay. And it just, I don't know, man. I think Rodgers may have lost a little bit of that passion to play, because he looks frustrated. But like you said, something about the body language there at the end of the game. He had a point where he laid back on the bench, put a towel over his head, like he just
that when he falls into I guess he went back into the darkness. I don't know. You never can tell with him. But it's look at the stats on this game. It was horrible. Bo Nix, these are the worst stats I've ever seen, and by any player, a rookie or not. I mean, this was not 25 attempts, 12 completions, 60 yards, a touchdown. I mean, not a lot.
He had negative pass yards at halftime, I'm pretty sure. It was at the end of the second quarter. He had -7. What?
-7.
-7. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this was a barn burner. But if you like defensive football, there was pretty good defense, I guess.
The Jets kind of did what they did in a sense. I mean, Breece Hall, not a good day whatsoever. Aaron Rodgers, 42 attempts there, 24 completions, 225 yards, no touchdowns.
Mike Williams finally got involved in the Jets offense, and I think that is a bright light in this game.
They're going to need a lot of that.
They need a lot of help, and now that he's finally getting worked into the offense, they have somebody that can stretch the field a little bit with Garrett Wilson. So the Jets might be able to overcome this a little bit.
Well, they might, especially they might, because I tell you what, I got an update from Baltimore here. I'm gonna share with everyone here in a minute. But look, it's good to see Mike Williams. And of course, Rodgers is so predictable. Still not seeing the consistency with him and Garrett Wilson.
Mhm.
And of course, Lazard, if you're a defensive guy, you kind of know what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. He is so predictable at this stage in his career. And I don't know. I'm just looking at the side story here. And that is that I know for a fact this week's the media up in New York, they're going to be all over this. Robert Saleh, man. Look, he wanted Zerline to make that 50-yarder so bad, but it went wide right, and they lose the game. And it's going to be interesting.
Interesting is definitely the word for that one. Yeah.
But not so bad in the division, because if Baltimore knocks off the Bills tonight, and Miami's in disarray.
Miami's in purgatory now, and New England's rebuilding. So
so this is not. It's not
the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. I mean, Buffalo still might run away with things there, but who knows? I mean, Baltimore is really taking it to them. But this was a pretty interesting game there, and big win for Sean Payton and the Broncos. I'm not a Sean Payton fan.
I am not either.
But you know what? He quietly went. How did this story just get swept under the rug here? He goes into the Jets, and because the presser that he did. Well, it wasn't really a presser; it was an interview.
It was an interview
that he did with a guy, and he just
went
all in on the Jets and their coaching staff, and he went all in on the coach, the head coach that coached the Broncos before he did. So, but no story, a big story, and then he quietly goes in there and get the win. Okay, all right, let's go back to Baltimore right quick, okay? And this is crazy because it's not even halftime yet. But anyway, it is 21-3. The Baltimore Ravens over the Buffalo Bills, and it's starting to heat up there.
Getting out of hand a little bit.
It's starting to heat up there. So it looks like and what's the passes to the running backs here? Lamar Jackson, a nice pass to Justice Hill for 19 yards in the touchdown. So this is really getting interesting.
And I don't think this goes like Alabama blowing Georgia out this weekend, where Georgia made that big comeback. I think Buffalo may have a very steep hill to climb if they want to be in any sort of contention at the end of this game. Baltimore's running away really quickly. The run game looks great. Lamar's not missing anything. So this is just one, Gene, I don't know. The Ravens really came to play. Sometimes it comes down to who wants it more. Buffalo was undefeated. Maybe the confidence went to their head a little bit. Maybe they're just outmatched, and Baltimore knows how to play them well. But Baltimore looks like the better team today.
Well, and I picked Baltimore to win on our NFL Countdown show. I know the Buffalo Bills are one of those 5 teams that we talked about. They're unbeaten and had to be on the road. So we saw the Steelers go down. And we also, it looks like now it's still early in this game. If anyone could stage a comeback,
it's the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So, I mean, right now, 21-3 has to be somewhat demoralizing for the Buffalo defense and the fans, but we'll keep an eye on it. 49ers bounced back today in a big way. It seems like this Jordan Mason guy is playing some really good ball. So let's get some sound from what happened there in San Francisco today.
Steps up. Here comes Floyd. Throw over the middle. Intercepted by Fred Warner. Fred gets up and runs back the other way. 30, 20, one block, and he's in. 10, 5, pushed out, dives for the end zone. Touchdown!
All right, that's from
it's a good soundbite.
Santa Clara there in Levi Stadium there. The San Francisco 49ers rebound after losing to the Rams last week. They win 30-13 over the New England Patriots. So the Patriots travel from all the way from the East Coast. Man, what a hell of a plane ride.
That's a terrible trip. Yeah, man.
From Boston to Santa Clara. Oh, my goodness. So they are 1-3 now, losers of 3 in a row since their opening win. And now the 49ers are 2-2, and that division is really tight. One of the other unbeaten teams in the NFL plays tomorrow night, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. But man, we just heard the soundbite there from Warner there. That defense is starting to show up in San Francisco, which can be scary.
Absolutely. And Fred Warner, maybe the defensive player of the year this year. He has had a pick in almost, if not every single game so far, and he has been a freak all season. He's all over the field.
He's all over the field.
He's fast. He's strong. Never misses a tackle. Fred Warner is a monster for that San Francisco defense.
Well, I mean, and with the exception of Christian McCaffrey, I mean, they're starting to get their players back. Debo Samuel's back.
Debo returned
on the field today. Jawan Jennings, who had 3 touchdowns last week in a losing effort there. I mean, Purdy is still having a good time spreading the ball around, and George Kittle not a bad day today, and Ayuk. I mean, he's really spreading that ball around. Look, Samuel 58 yards receiving, Jennings 88, Ayuk 48, Kittle 45, and even Mason. This guy seems to be a good handy tool to have there.
Jordan
right?
Mason's legit. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
pretty
is.
good. He did lose a fumble, but I mean, Jordan Mason's been really good instead of CMC. So
Yeah, this is pretty interesting there. So I like what we're seeing. I cannot wait till we start getting into. I know they had a conference game with the Rams last week, but I really want to see what they can do against the Seattle team and this should be coming up here pretty soon. And I think the 49ers are back. They look good today, and losing CMC may not be so bad. I think they're projecting him to come back. What now? Like week 8 or something like
week
that.
8 is the earliest.
But now you got a Mason here, star in the making here.
Who's doing good. I mean, he may not be as good in the passing game as CMC, but there's literally not another running back in the league.
They're gonna get
that
better.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna improve. And the 49ers they look good. That first Seattle matchup is going to be an incredible game.
It is going to be an incredible game. So big win there for the 49ers. And look, when we come back, we're going to talk about the Browns and the Raiders, the Chiefs and the Chargers. We're just moving right along here on the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
They keep him in the backfield. They run a jet sweep to DJ Turner through the left side. Breaks the tackle 15. Turner is shimmy at the 10, the 5, the dive. Touchdown! DJ Turner with his first career touchdown. And it's on an 18-yard wide receiver run.
Like we said before, in this year, 2024, a lot of names that we, I'm sure these names were mentioned during the preseason, but, if it's not the fancy names, Jacob, that we're wanting to hear, like, look, I'm still waiting for Zamir White to do something, right? And Brock Bowers had a horrible day today, dropped one pass.
Gigantic pass, man. Yeah.
And then it's just so many interesting DJ Turner, who would have thought that he would be the hero of the day as the Raiders defeat the Cleveland Browns 20-16 at the stadium there. I forget the
were they
name
at
of the
Allegiant
stadium.
today?
Yeah, Allegiant Stadium. Yeah, they were at home today.
Man.
So, and I know they were at home because I had friends in Cleveland that flew out to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
They said they went to see the game, but we know they're in some casino losing all their money, right?
Yeah.
So, but this was an interesting game, which the Raiders are now 2-2. Look, not bad to be 500 in this early part of the season here.
Not at all.
With Gardner Minshew, and I don't know, maybe when Antonio Pierce said, okay, we're going to make some business decisions because some of our players made business decisions. This is how we get McAllister and DJ Turner involved.
Yeah, right.
And because I never heard of these guys until today.
No kidding. And I guess Devontae Adams being hurt kind of opened the door a little bit.
It did.
I mean, you do Trey Tucker, not a household name. Harris Bryant, not a household name. Brock Bowers is now, but DJ Turner, Raiders have some ballers on their team that I had no idea who they were until today. So it is the year of the underdog.
Look, when you can win a game with your starting quarterback, no touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, if you're not throwing picks, you're always in a game here. And this was good for the Raiders. But meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns are 1-3 with their $230 million quarterback, who showed some flashes of the old today. Not much, but 32 attempts. He completed 24, 176 yards. He had a pick and an interception. So Deshaun Watson continues to struggle and not get the wins that the Browns want. They find themselves at the bottom of the AFC North, right there with the Bengals. But we know who's the better team between the Browns and the Bengals.
Yeah, no kidding.
Without a doubt. But, man, this is I don't know. I thought Amari Cooper would have a big day. Jerry Jeudy, you got two good receivers, two good Alabama receivers on your team, and it's not connecting.
It was bad. Amari's the reason that Watson even had an interception in the first place. It popped right out of Amari's hands, right into the hands of the defender. So, I mean, he was solely to blame for that interception even happening. And I don't know. This Cleveland offense looks terrible. Their defense looks gassed all game, whether they're playing well or not. Deshaun Watson is like a beacon of hope for Bill O'Brien, right? He's at Boston College now. And, Bill O'Brien had that huge falling out with the Texans, ends up he got cut. We ended up going out and we got D'Amico Ryans out of it after the Lovie Smith debacle and this, that, and the other. But Bill O'Brien coached Deshaun Watson and made him look good enough to trade him to the Cleveland Browns for their entire future. And the Browns are reeling. Watson has no protection. It's not all on him either. Watson has not looked great, but it's not all on him. His O-line is terrible. But, man, he can't consistently look good. This was probably his best game overall. Best game.
I would agree with that.
Jerry Jeudy looks good. Amari's kind of fallen off a little bit. They're missing Nick Chubb, man. I think Nick Chubb is the biggest X factor for this team. If they had Nick Chubb and they could lean on their run game, I do think things would be a little different. Although Jerome Ford has a 5.8 yard per carry average today. He had 10 carries for 58, so it wasn't the run game.
Yeah, had that long one there for 35 there, but No, it's I don't know. We talked during the break what we think could happen in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, and it just doesn't look good. It'd be tough for a team to swallow $230 million there, with so much of this is guaranteed, man. But I don't know. This could set the Cleveland Browns back a long way if they had to. They're gonna have to ride this out.
And the irony of the Cleveland Browns being the ones that have to take on the years of trying to crawl back after they finally found some sort of relevancy.
It's the curse of the Cleveland Browns. And I don't want to write this kid's career off right now, but, and I think it wouldn't be such a big thing if it wasn't for all the money that's involved.
Yeah.
But historically, and I can tell you guys, the Cleveland Browns had drafted maybe like 10 or 12 quarterbacks over a 17-year period at one time or something like that. That's just how bad they have the quarterback curse, of, and they just have been, a laughing stock there in the NFL. So I don't know. It's still early, like we say, but I regardless, I think they still finish dead last in that division, and it's just a matter of how bad it's going to end up being.
I think so too. And I think they need to be worried. I mean, they're going to need, I could see them moving Amari Cooper at the deadline. I could see them trading Amari Cooper for an offensive lineman, probably a tackle at the deadline, to try and shore that line up for Deshaun Watson to try to extend the season as far as they could. But Cleveland's got a lot of problems right now.
They do. They certainly do. Although the Cleveland Guardians in baseball, on the other hand, I think at some point in time, Browns fans are just going to go ahead and abandon this team and jump on. Look, it's okay to jump on the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
Change your name and see what happens there. Huh?
City, yeah.
See what happens. I mean, maybe the Browns might want to change their names. And, one time I was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, and this was during an ice storm. It was the Greatest Show on Turf versus the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
So that weekend leading up to the game, they had this promo, what would you do for a pair of Super Bowl tickets? And I saw a Browns fan eat dog food and chase it down with some beer, and he got those Super Bowl tickets.
Good for him.
So the Browns fans are really crazy. They'll do anything.
Top two best fan bases on the planet: Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I saw the guy. He ate that dog food and he swallowed it. He chased it with the beer,
Bet he had
and
a
then
smile
he
on his
wanted
face.
some more dog food after that.
They were ready.
Dog pound.
The Cleveland fans are built different from
Oh,
most
he
of the
did
rest
that,
of
and
the
I'm
country.
sitting there just with my jaws dropped like there's no way. And I love the Steelers, but no, we're not eating any dog food to get a pair of Super
That is
Bowl
gross.
tickets.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Super Bowl is a pretty cool game, though. I mean,
Yeah.
a little bit of dog food for Super Bowl
And,
tickets.
yeah, I actually
I'm
got
not
to
eating
see that Super Bowl, but I did not eat any dog food to get it. Okay, I just want to go on the record. All right, how about the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that should be probably okay? They earned this one today,
Mhm.
but prior to this, they could have easily been 0-3.
Yeah.
Looking at how the Chiefs have played, and man, I'm still not convinced. Patrick Mahomes he's had an interception in every game so far this year.
And
Something that I don't know if we saw.
I don't think we've seen it his entire career.
Yeah, I mean, he's throwing picks.
The one this week was arguably worse than any of the ones before this season. So,
But it's not enough to hurt them. And, the Chiefs get it done. I mean, it wasn't pretty. And it's always, man, give it up to Andy Reid for finding that guy that gets it done. P. Ryan.
best coach in the NFL.
Yeah,
right now.
P. Ryan, who probably would have been just waived by most teams in the NFL, get it done there. But I guess the most disappointing and sad thing for the Chiefs is losing Rashee Rice, who is out for the season with a
An
torn
ACL.
ACL. Man,
It was hard to watch, not only for my fantasy team, which wept, but it sucks because he was playing such good ball. He was motivated to do well. He was cooking defenses.
this was early in the game.
It was almost immediately after the game started.
Yeah, this was-
he had no targets.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes threw that bad interception over Travis Kelce's head in an attempt to tackle the guy that picked it off. Rashee Rice was rolled up on by his own
Oh
player.
man, it was by
It
his
was
own.
bad.
Yeah, it looked bad, and oh my goodness. So look, the Chiefs win 17-10, and they are still unbeaten, folks. This is scary for a team. No one has ever three-peated in the NFL. The Chiefs are your current back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and at 4-0 right now, that sounds pretty damn scary. that they could end up in New Orleans.
Man, the only thing that the NFC would have, kind of not a breath of fresh air, but a breath of fresh air. The Chiefs are banged up now.
Mhm.
The Chiefs they don't have Hollywood Brown. They don't have Rashee Rice. And they're missing.
That's why folks like P. Ryan and still and no Pacheco. Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco's out.
Yeah.
They did bring Kareem Hunt back, which is cool.
And we saw that one coming.
We sure did.
Yeah.
And, like, he had a bad out in the beginning. He's matured. They
He's
brought
going to
him
be on the
back.
practice squad. Oh, hey, by the way, he's in the lineup now. He's a part of the 53
He's a
man
starter.
roster.
He had 14 carries for 69. He definitely helped after Rashee Rice left today. But the Chiefs, they have some concerns, I would assume. Andy Reid's a great coach. He can scheme anybody.
Coach.
But you have to have, at a certain point, as the Eagles have shown, you need that level of talent.
Yeah, this guy is great. So big win for the Chiefs, disappointing loss for the Chargers, who are at 2-2. And when we come back, we will give you an update from Baltimore and talk about the 2 Monday night games that will take place tomorrow night. So stick around. It's the Mean Gene Show with Jacob Meadows here on ESPN 97.5.
This is the Mean Gene Show
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Mean Gene.
All right, we're about to wrap it up here, man, in a fast 2-hour show. We are here every Sunday night, 7 to 9, breaking down the previous day's NFL action here. And, of course, next Sunday, Next Sunday night, it will be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys, and we are obligated to carry that Cowboys game next week. It's a Sunday night game, which means Jacob and I will not be here. I'll be watching the game, being the Steelers fan that I am, because AJ, you better not. AJ, keep your phone close, okay? Because I'm gonna be bugging the
You
hell out
too.
of you. No,
That's a
no,
bet.
keep that phone close.
That's a
Bye.
bet. You as well.
Because yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So we won't be on the air next Sunday, but we will be back the following week doing our thing here. So look, we enjoy the comments from the YouTube chat room there, the ESPN 97.5 YouTube chat room. So look, one of our commenters had an interesting concept for Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans coming up in February of 2025. Texans and Commanders. Whoa. Wow.
I love that. That would be a great game.
That would be crazy. And it would be unbelievable too for a rookie to lead his team to the Super Bowl. But I guess we can't take our eyes off this Commanders team.
Can't write them off at 3-1. I mean, I know it's only week 4.
First place. I know. And hey, not bad. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I
don't have a problem with it.
Any given
Texans,
Sunday.
Commanders, and I mean, that would be cool. So it would be a nice little 4.5 hour drive for us. Wouldn't be bad. Right
Not
up
too
to
bad.
Interstate 10. Okay, so the Sunday night game on NBC is about to go into halftime. It is the Baltimore Ravens up 21-3, and I got to think that they are going to keep it on the ground and just ease on into the locker room with this 18-point lead. So really shocked here that the Buffalo Bills are not able to get it going here. Cook, a couple of rushes there, 27 yards. They're not getting anything on the ground there. Even Josh Allen, he's almost got as many yards as Cook there, but no Dalton Kincaid, you're just not seeing Shakir, not really. They're just not having a successful night moving the ball.
There is zero passing game for the Bills today. Baltimore showed up and showed out. They look amazing at every facet of the game, and the Bills are really struggling on offense today. It's just what everybody's got a down game, right? And I mean, they did pick a down game against the Ravens, but the Buffalo Bills, if they don't come back in the second half, this will be one of those wake-up calls, kind of like Houston getting thumped by Minnesota.
And, they can write it off because it's week 4. But look, these are the games that come back to hunt you late in the season and this is an AFC matchup here. So, you want to be, when it comes to hosting or at home or home field advantage, this matters.
These are those seeding games, and you need them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buffalo is falling flat so far in the first half. Hopefully they turn it up. Hopefully they at least make this game competitive in the second half.
Well, we'll see. So it's 18 points. Hey, like we said earlier, if anybody can do it, it's Josh Allen. But so far, this is the Derrick Henry show. And we'll keep an eye on that as we leave here. But 2 Monday night games here, and people are a little bit confused now as to why the NFL usually lead off with 2 Monday night games. They did this a few years ago, but now, Jacob, wondering why we still have 2 Monday night games scheduled this deep into the season, meaning week 4.
Yeah, I had to look it up, but NBC Sports put out an article about it. It's part of the latest media rights agreement that was agreed upon, and all it did was it increased the number of games that's aired on ABC and on ESPN. So they have to sprinkle in a couple of weeks throughout the season where you have a doubleheader on Monday. And honestly, I'm a fan of it. I don't know if the players would like it because you get the Monday night game, you lose a day or you gain a day depending on where you are in the schedule. But it doesn't seem too bad. You do kind of lose viewership on one of those Monday night games a little bit.
Well, I mean, look, unless you got a setup like I do.
Yeah.
And I know everyone doesn't have that traditional setup. Well, you go to a sports bar if you want. Of course, you can see it all. But, that's why I set my sports bar up for this reason, because I just never know what's going to be on these 2 Monday night games. One is on ABC and one is on ESPN, both owned by Disney, of course. But you don't want to miss them. You can't miss the action.
No, not at all. And it won't be every week. That is also important to note, is that not every Monday is going to have a doubleheader. It is going to be sporadically through the season. So this is not going to be a normal commonplace thing week in and week out.
Okay. So anyway, all right. So speaking of the 2 Monday night games, the first one, which is going to be 6:30 Central Time. Okay. That's local Houston time. You got the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins, which, I don't know. Dolphins are 2.5 favorite. I'm not knowing why they are or how they are. Who's starting quarterback?
Gene, let me tell you, Tyler Huntley
I
off
thought
the
so. I thought
Baltimore
so.
Ravens practice
I
squad.
thought so.
Miami,
so.
I think Miami gets this dub. Tyler Huntley is a good quarterback. He's learned a lot from Lamar Jackson, has a very similar play style,
Mhm.
a little less speed, but similar play style. And I expect the Miami Dolphins to just beat the piss out of the Tennessee Titans.
Well, because I know, look, the way Will Levis have been playing, his stats are just outrageous through 4 games, 579 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not a way to get a start. So I think Miami's defense is looking forward to seeing Will Levis tomorrow night.
Yeah.
on the field.
They've been opportunistic all season despite their offensive woes. Miami is licking their chops.
Oh, I already know. And of course, look, A-Chain has been getting it done. This guy has been, running like a stud there. So going to be an interesting game. One of the few highlights for the Titans, if they can get Tony Pollard to run, which has not been easy for them to do, or even get Calvin Ridley the ball, which is not easy to do because of Will Levis.
Can't throw the ball 10 yards down the field.
Can't get it down. So, I mean, this is, Miami needs a win. And I think they have an opportunity to get this. And they're coming into this game 1-2 in the AFC East. And the Titans are one of those winless teams looking for their first win of the season, but I think they're going to be 0-4.
I think they're going to be 0-4 as well. And I think this might be the week that Miami turns it around. They only need Tyler Huntley to play well until Tua comes back. Tua wants to come back. He's trying to come back as soon as possible. This may be what Miami needs to kind of shoot for the top in their division. That if they win this week, I mean, anything can happen.
What an opportunity for Huntley, because we have seen him in this role before with the Baltimore Ravens and kept them afloat for
Played
the most
really
part.
well. He was an alternate for the Pro Bowl. Made a Pro Bowl.
So this is not bad.
Tyler Huntley can ball out. He's got an arm. He's much faster than Tua is. So honestly, Miami will be able to run wrinkle plays that they can't with Tua because Tyler Huntley's got better legs.
So I wouldn't expect much of a passing game to Waddle or Tyreek Hill. I mean, man, those guys' numbers have dropped
plummeted
tremendously. But you can compare Huntley to Lamar Jackson in a sense. Their game is pretty much the same.
It's
but
very similar. Yeah.
I take the Dolphins to get the win tomorrow night. So that's the first game. And then about 45 minutes later, after the kickoff of Miami and the Tennessee Titans, you have the Seahawks, the unbeaten. They will be the last unbeaten team tomorrow night on the road to take the field in week 4. They are in Motown taking on the Detroit Lions. You got a 3-0 versus a 2-1. This is going to be the game to watch.
This is going to be a good game. Yeah. You can't even put words to it because Seattle's leading their division, something that very few people expected to happen right off the bat anyways. And Detroit also at the top of their division. They're behind Minnesota, but they're that 1B. They're right behind Minnesota in their division. And this is going to be a litmus test for A, if Seattle could potentially compete with the 49ers in their own division, and B, if Detroit is for real, and Detroit might be able to give Minnesota a run for their money because both of these teams are good. They both have high power offenses. They both have defense that they're eating right now. All the guys on these defenses are hungry. This could be the game of the week.
I think so. And the star power in this game, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Jamar Gibbs. You can throw in Zach Charbonnet.
Monty David Montgomery.
Yeah, David Montgomery, Geno Smith, Jared Goff there. This is going to be a star-studded game. So the question is, who's going to win?
I think the Seattle Seahawks might win this one.
Well,
I want Detroit too.
I made my pick last week or earlier this week with Dustin Pfeiffer, and I'm going to stick with my choice there. It's going to be the Detroit Lions getting the win. I think Seattle takes their first loss. AJ, what do you think about both games tomorrow night? We took Miami the first game.
I think Miami is going to win too. I think Tyler Huntley, he's going to bring some, rejuvenated energy to Miami because they need it right now, especially with how they played the past few weeks. And for the Seahawks and Lions, that's a tough one. Yeah, it is.
Better go with the home team.
Man,
Seattle
go with
looks
the home
good,
team.
man.
I'm going with Seattle.
DK's been unstoppable.
Well,
Kenneth Walker's finally healthy
Yeah,
again.
defense
Zach
under Mahomes.
Charbonnet's been playing
That's
well.
going to be
Kenneth Walker's back too. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting though. If they pull that off, man, and go 4-0, wow, that'll be interesting. Well, I tell you what. Anyway, folks, enjoy both Monday Night Football games tomorrow, and we will see you back here in 2 weeks. We're off next week. No Mean Gene Show, no Jacob, no AJ. And we'll come back here in 2 weeks. And
For Separation
I guess
Sunday.
it'll be for week 6. It'll be Separation Sunday. All right. Enjoy yourself. Be safe out there. And we'll see you back here on the Mean Gene Show on ESPN 97.5.